Welcome back to another episode of the KarterKast. I'm your host, Karter Baughan. On today's show, me, Dylan, Ben, we do NFL Week 5 preview. We go through every single game except the Monday night. That'll be on Sunday night's recap show. We'll preview those then, but we go through every single NFL Week 5 game. We're brought to you by SeatGeek. Download the SeatGeek app. Use code KarterKast. $20 off your first purchase. Let's just go ahead and get into the show today. NFL Week 4 preview. Ben, Dylan, we're here. We're just going to go through the entire slate. Thursday night football, Cowboys, Giants. Right now, Cowboys are only a 5.5 point favorite against this Giants team who looked like they were dead in the dumpster. Now, all of a sudden, they're 1-2. A little bit of life there for the New York Giants. 5.5 point favorites. This game's in New York, in MetLife. Any thoughts on this game, Dylan?
New York Giants. Malik Neighbors coming out party last week. Conversation, is Malik Neighbors the best wide receiver in the NFL? Something to think about. Just something to think about. He had a coming out party last week. Thursday night football, Dallas, they opened at like 4.5 point favorites, got to 5.5. Obviously lose to the Ravens last week. Karter, you're out. You're out on the Cowboys. This was your panic button team, right?
Yeah, I'm out, but I'm out. Like, they can still make the playoffs. They will not even sniff the Super Bowl.
So Dak said, hop off the train.
Yeah, he said, jump off the train.
Are you hopping off the train?
Absolutely, I'm hopping off the train.
Okay, so you're off the train. I'm on the train, and I think I just bought like a premium pass, and to be even more on the train. Like I want to be on the train for another leg. I love Dallas here, and I think this is a situation where we talk about the Cowboys. When they lose, they get blown out. When they win, they blow teams out. It's just kind of the nature of how the Cowboys have played football the last 3 years. I think that people are going to kind of push this Dallas Cowboys team to the side, say, hey, you lost to the Ravens. It didn't look great. Obviously, the last-minute score kind of made it look closer than what it actually was. Both of these rush defenses allow over 5 yards per game, and I think that goes to benefit the Cowboys.
Since
they have the worst rushing offense.
You think that benefits the Cowboys?
I think that allows them to get a little bit more going on the ground than they have.
I think they're both just booty cheeks run games.
I guess that's fair. But Dallas has a better offensive line. If one of these units is going to benefit from that more, it's probably going to be Dallas.
I'll ask you this, Ben, too, real quick. If the Cowboys lose this game, Dylan, that train comes to a the train crashes, right? It's fully jumping off if they lose to the Giants.
I would say the conductor is probably taking a stop at a gas station to get a Mountain Dew. It slows down. It might stop for a little bit. I don't know.
The train's going on to like the interstate and it's turning. The conductor's going to the gas station and getting.
I don't know if. Well, no, the train stops and he goes and walks to the gas
leaves.
station.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he gets off the train for a little bit, but the train doesn't go off the rails. I don't think you can say the
train's going off the rails to this podcast 5 minutes in.
I like Dallas here. Ultimately, what it comes down to, the New York Giants offensive line is really bad. Dallas's defense hasn't looked great, but the one thing they've done well is they have been able to pressure quarterbacks. They have like the third highest pressure rate, even though the defenses look bad. I think that plays in Dallas's favor. I love Dallas here. I think Dallas takes care of business and they right the track a little bit, right the ship.
I'll go quick. I think Dallas wins, but I don't think it's pretty. Ben.
Yeah, I was going to add, I didn't get to jump in on the whole train conversation. I just never got on the train. Mm-hmm. You guys were like, hey, are you coming? And I was like, nope. I'm good. I'm staying off the
I've
train.
never been on this Cowboys train.
Yeah.
I was on the Eagles preseason. I still am on the Eagles.
Yeah.
Just a process of elimination because this division stinks.
Yes, and like the Eagles and Cowboys neither have impressed me this year. In this one, I do think the Cowboys pass rush, which has been just weirdly non-existent. If there's a time for them to get going, I think it's this week against the Giants offensive line that's struggling, that just isn't very good. I also think in this spot that the Giants are coming off a win that they feel really good about. The Cowboys are coming off a loss that makes them feel really bad. That feels like one of those spots where the better team coming off the bad loss is going to rebound against the bad team that just had the good win. That just tends to be the way that the NFL ebbs and flows, from what I've gathered. But I'm going to go with the Cowboys. I'm going to say they win by a touchdown, like 27-20. I don't feel super confident in the Cowboys covering 5.5, but I feel pretty confident in them winning the game.
Cowboys lead the league in pressure rate, quarterback knockdown rate, and hurry rate. That's what I hang my hat on here. That's what I hang my hat on, is the fact that make Daniel Jones make some really bad decisions, and then we start having the conversation, we overreacted on the Giants and probably overreacted on the Cowboys.
Can I be honest?
No.
I hate NFC East division games.
Why? The Commanders might change that this year.
Commanders might change that.
They might
That's
make it
fair.
fun.
I liked it like 10 years ago.
Yeah, especially right now. I just don't like watching NFC East primetime games. Anytime it feels like Sunday Night Football. Every other week is Cowboys Giants or Cowboys Eagles, and it
does always seem to get the primetime slot. Now that I think about it,
it obviously should, because Cowboys fans are going to bring in the most views and whatnot. But I just don't like NFC East football. Not a fan. Not a fan.
Bad brand.
I also don't think I've ever won money betting an NFC East division game. Maybe that's why. Maybe I'm just sour.
We could use this into a segue into the Eagles game, but Karter, you said that you were on the Eagles train. Ben, confirm. Are you on the Eagles train?
Less so now, but I was. I'm on the. I think they win the division.
How confident are you guys on a train going high speeds that Nick Sirianni is the conductor of?
Yeah, but I'm not as confident as Mike McCarthy, though.
So you're more confident in Nick Sirianni?
I am, not because of Nick Sirianni. I think Nick Sirianni's the worst coach, but I think the Eagles have a better roster to overcome that.
Maybe you don't understand the conversation.
Agree.
I
understand what you're saying.
Train conductor.
That's my problem with the Eagles is Nick Sirianni.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
All right. That's
and
fair.
we can
That's
talk
fair.
about this Bucs game. The Eagles are 2.5-point favorite in Tampa. I talked about this game, the Eagles-Saints, last week. I was like, okay, a little bit of a fraud watch. This is the all-time fraud watch.
This really is.
Because we watched the Buccaneers last week. They forgot how to throw a football. They forgot how to play football. And this just seems to happen with Baker Mayfield-led teams, especially on Tampa Bay, where you're like, oh, wow, this team is awesome one week. And then the next week you're like, this is the worst team I've ever seen play. And they probably Connor brought up the stat of where Baker Mayfield had the most turnover-worthy passes, and only like one of them got picked off or whatever last season. I feel like eventually that's just got to come out where he's going to start having these turnovers like he did in the Broncos game. And I don't know, man. I lean Eagles here, but also the Eagles have the most mind-numbing coaching staff I've ever seen in my life. Why are you faking tush pushes on 4th and 1? You could run the tush push on 3rd and 3 and it would work.
Nick Sirianni's over there on the sideline, and whenever he has a decision to make, he's flipping a coin. He's spinning a wheel. It is complete
I respect
randomness.
that, though.
No, I don't respect that. And they did a poll recently, like, which team is the most analytically minded? And they did head coaches. They did like how many analytics people they have on staff. And Nick Sirianni was towards the top. And he's doing that crap that you're saying, faking tush pushes. It's absolutely insane. Insane.
No, it's like when he's taking a test he didn't study for, and he's like, okay, C or A, C or A, C or A. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. He's playing that game.
I think just to get like back on the conversation of the NFC East, like which train we're on, I'm not confident in either train. It's just sort of like you got to choose. You got to get on a train.
You got to get to where you're going somehow.
Yeah, exactly. You got to get on some train.
Tell me you're not tempted to get on the Commanders train.
Ooh.
I want to feel good about that. I'm not there yet, but
the
give me a
defense
few
is so
weeks,
bad.
and then maybe we can, after week 4, maybe we can revisit or after week 5, maybe a couple weeks. We'll see if I'm willing to get on the Jaden Daniels train.
I might be on.
The Commanders train's like the one. It's all it looks real nice. It's clean. It's new. It's got the polished seats. From the out, it looks really nice. But then if you get on it, it might just break down. whenever
Yeah,
at any point.
Yeah, it's like a new La Quinta you're staying in, where you're like, oh, this is a brand new hotel. Then you remember it's a La Quinta and someone's smoking weed in the room next to you.
I want to say this about this game real quick. I hate the Eagles. Cannot stand the Eagles. Cannot stand Nick Sirianni. However, I love the Eagles in this game. I absolutely love them. I think everything you said, sell on the Buccaneers. They looked great the first 2 weeks. Philadelphia just outmatches Tampa Bay defensively, and this Eagles offensive line is going to hold up really well. Now, will there be dumb decisions? I'm almost 100% positive, but I think they hold on to this one. I think they cover. I think they win.
I do too. I agree with you. I am taking the Eagles actually in this game, but also to the point with the Buccaneers, I don't even know if they look good in that Lions game or it's the Lions just shot themselves in the foot in that game.
We'll get to the Lions.
Yeah,
I got something to say about the Lions.
Ooh, all right. Ben, Eagles, Bucs, who are you taking?
I'm gonna go with the Bucs in a bounce back spot by like a field goal, but
I'm just kidding.
just disagrees, just gets booed off stage.
Throwing tomatoes through the screen.
Are there going to be people on the Eagles train though kicking you off if they hear you taking the Buccaneers?
Ooh,
will there be a mutiny?
That's a good point.
A little Kamala Harris flip flop action, huh?
But I'm on the Eagles train, but like I have no care if anyone were to kick me off the train. That's how lukewarm I am about my feelings on the train.
Okay.
All right, we can end the train analogies moving on from this division. Let's go. Let's talk about Vikings Packers. This sneaky might be the best game of the week and most important game of the week because it's a divisional matchup. The Packers, I don't know if Jordan Love is playing or not. It seems like he might not this week. I think he's probably 1 week away still. But the Vikings, they're 3-0. Packers 2-1. Packers -2.5 in Lambeau. This is an impossible one to pick for me because, one, you don't know who the quarterback is playing. And also, do we end up seeing a little bit of a regression from Sam Darnold in this Vikings team, or is this just who they are? Dylan.
This is... I think when you look at this game, you'll see the Vikings as an underdog, just in general, let alone 2.5 points, and think, why is this undefeated Vikings team an underdog? And I understand Lambeau's a tough place to play. They get to play him in September at Lambeau, which is nice. You don't have to play him in December at Lambeau. I think I'm going to go with the dumb side here and take the Vikings. As much as I hate to do it, we've seen the Vikings play with a lead. They play very slow, 59 plays per game. But a lot of that is dictated because they've gotten out to this early lead. They can drain clock. They can run the ball. Sam Darnold has looked great. He's been efficient. But you look at a lot of his stat lines for these games, it's 190 yards, 210, 220 yards a game. It's really not him having to make plays down the stretch because they take the lead early and then they just drain the clock. So,
but he did against the Niners, though.
Was that the Justin Jefferson throw?
Well, not just that. It was that game, but it wasn't that play because Justin Jefferson went out.
I hear what you're saying. I think ultimately you look at how many plays they run per game. You see, you add context to that, and I think if the Vikings can get out early, which I think is totally possible, no matter who plays, Jordan Love or Malik Willis, I like the Vikings here. Just play your game, drain the clock if you get up early, and I think that's very well possible for them. It's square. I hate it, but
underrated thing about the Vikings is, one, they played the Giants. This is kind of their first true road test. They played the Giants week 1. You could, whatever you think about the Giants, they played them in New York, and then home against two good teams. I feel like there's a little bit of a regression here that I'm all in on this Vikings team, but I'm not going to take them this week. Ben,
I think I'm going Green Bay here as well. I'm not even sure if I care who the quarterback is because right now, for some weird reason, it doesn't even seem to matter.
Yeah, but I think that's just because they played two of the dumbest quarterbacks in this league.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but I do like I really like it if it's Jordan Love. If it's Malik Willis, it's a little more shaky. But I do think that the Vikings come down to earth. I still think the Vikings are a very good team, but I don't think they're gonna just keep winning every single game they play. They're playing at Lambeau. I know it's easier to play at Lambeau in September than it is in November, December. But with that being said, like you said, Carter, this is a true road test that they're experiencing outside of MetLife, which is kind of meh.
As a Lions fan, are you worried about the Vikings potentially stealing the NFC North?
I think you gotta be. if they just haven't lost. I mean, like, I'm not in panic mode, but like my eye's on it. My eye is on both of these teams. Like, I very much acknowledge that I think both teams are good. So I think it's possible if the Lions don't. The Lions feel like they're kind of playing with their food a little bit right now, and so
Yeah, it does. Oh my goodness.
they just kind of need to stop doing that. I think they're the best team when everything is said and done, but they are going to have to do that.
Yep.
But yeah, I like Green Bay here by like a field goal.
I love it. Saints Falcons, NFC South divisional matchup. Now, I did crap on the NFC East, and if anybody says they hate NFC South games, I'm not going to argue because these games suck too. These are not great games, but Saints Falcons, games in Atlanta -1.5 in this spot. Look, man, Dylan, we talked about this. This was your, hey, let's pump the brakes team on the Saints. This is Atlanta here. I'm going to keep falling into this Atlanta trap once again, and I'm going to get burned. I think this Atlanta team is too talented, despite even absurd coaching decisions in that Chiefs game. I think they get it done in Atlanta against the Saints here. This is a big game for Kirk Cousins and this Falcons team if they want to win this division.
This is an interesting situation. It's really hard to, I mean, obviously we're 3 weeks in, but the Saints had that blowout against the Cowboys and they blew out the Panthers. So it's really tough to get a good, you look at stats and you can't really come to a conclusion because you know the stats are inflated. You know that you maybe have 8 quarters of legitimate stats to go off of, maybe. I love the Falcons. I want the Falcons to win, but there are a couple things that are keeping me from pulling the trigger. The Falcons are forcing the second lowest pressure rate in professional football, and the Saints' offensive line has looked better than what I expected coming into the season.
Timeout. Their starting center's out for the season, or out for 8 weeks.
Is he officially? Because that's a note I had. You got to keep an eye on that because he was questionable on PFF.
Yeah, he got listed on the IR.
That's tough because he was like a 90-plus rated guy. That's tough. I still don't think it changes my stance because the Falcons' left side of the offensive line I think is going to have trouble as well. I like the Saints here. It stinks because I like the Falcons as a team. I like Kirk, but I think the Saints pull this one out as a divisional underdog.
Wow.
I hate it. I hate it.
I really like the Falcons in this spot. I really think we're gonna sit there and think about it in like week 9, 10 later this season and be like, remember when the Saints were the best team in football for 2 weeks and now they're 3-7? I think that's a real possibility when we talk about the Saints team.
Yeah.
All right, Ben.
I think this is an absolutely massive game in the NFC South.
Mm-hmm.
If the Falcons lose this game, they're in really bad shape. And I think if the Saints lose this game, it's kind of as they say on Pardon My Take, it's like a loser leaves town game a little bit. It's very early for that, but I think this is one where it's less of an Atlanta thing. I think Atlanta's fine right now. I don't think they're a great team. I don't think they're a bad team, but they're a decent team. They're an above average NFL team. I don't think the Saints are that. I really don't. I think this has kind of been a facade the first few weeks here. I think the Falcons win this by a touchdown. With that being said, though, I think you're pressing the panic button on Atlanta if they don't win this game.
Yeah, I think I'm hovering over it. And Dylan, I think you made a great point with the pressure rates because you watch the Eagles game, it was the most glaring. They could not even sniff Jalen Hurts. I mean, Jalen Hurts had all day to throw, which made that Eagles loss so much worse because he had all day to throw and still couldn't get it done. It was just dumb decision-making by the coaching staff. And then you also watched that Eagles-Saints game last week. The Saints honestly should have lost by double digits if the coaching staff for the Eagles isn't just stupid, just flat out stupid. So, yeah, I think you're right too, Ben. I think this is more of a loser leaves town game than people realize because I think we're only going to get one team out of the NFC South. As a Panthers fan, now that we're totally back, I hope the Falcons win this game too. This would be better for me if the Falcons win.
If the Panthers were playing college football, they'd be 1-0. New quarterback.
Yeah, they would first in the college football playoff at this point. Maybe the Panthers and Michigan, maybe they're the same team.
Wouldn't that be a turn of events? I make Michigan a 5-point favorite
against Carolina.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't even, it's not even worth arguing. Let's talk about the Panthers real quick. I think the only talking point I think there's a few talking points going into this game. I think my favorite one is, and people are going to talk about it a little bit this week, this game's not going to be talked about a bunch on national media, is the Red Rocket revenge game against the Bengals.
Yes.
We are seeing Andy Dalton face against his former team, and the Bengals are 0-3. This defense is the worst in football. They're terrible. They're terrible. They let Jaden Daniels destroy them on Monday Night Football. This is a loser leaves town game because the Panthers are already eliminated from the playoffs, essentially. You know, I don't think there's a world where they can come back, unless Andy Dalton's insane. But if the Bengals go 0-4 and lose to the effing Carolina Panthers, it's over. They're not coming back from this. This defense is too bad to come back from this, Dylan.
It's amazing how the Bengals defense looked against the Chiefs. Like, they really didn't look that bad. They were getting pressure on Mahomes, and then they go and play the Commanders, and they just can't stop anything. And maybe there's something to say about the Commanders' offense too. We've all seen the stat. What is it? 2 straight games without a punt, or like however many straight drives without, they're scoring points with scoring points, not without scoring points. With this game, I don't have anything. I didn't have any notes because I did this before Monday Night Football. Joe Burrow, I think the important thing to remember, Joe Burrow looked great. And after week 1, we had all these questions on Joe Burrow's wrist. Is his wrist healthy? He has proven to us in the 2 weeks since that everything looks okay. Again, that question mark is just the Bengals defense. And are they going to be able to stop Andy Dalton? Is Andy Dalton going to be able to get anything going? I lean towards the Bengals winning big here. I'm not going to take it.
It's just because I'm going to the game. You think the Bengals are going to dominate? Huh.
You're going to the game?
I'm going to Panthers Bengals
under.
Also a great point because it's 48.5, and also it's supposed to rain in Charlotte on Sunday.
Ooh, rain game,
and also I think the rain game actually favors Carolina. Because I think Carolina's run game is very, very solid against this Bengals defense.
Keep pounding.
Yeah, keep pounding, I guess.
Chuba Hubbard's got it. And also, you talk about the Bengals team where they look good against the Chiefs. Maybe that's the outlier because you look at the Patriots game, you go, oh, well, they only gave up 16 points to the Patriots. But Ramondre Stevenson looked like Barry Sanders in that game. He was running all over them. And that's my concern is if anybody has an above average run game and a decent offensive line, they're going to dominate time of possession against this Bengals team. And then Joe Burrow's just going to be putting so much pressure and have to make magic happen every single time. I worry about them. I think the Bengals win this game because if there's ever been a kitchen sink game, it's going to be when you're 0-3 playing the Carolina Panthers. You can't lose that game. So I think the Bengals pulled out. I don't know if they cover the 4.5, but I think they barely pulled out here, Ben.
I think I am on the Bengals side. I think with a few of these AFC teams that feel to be like very much disappointing, I'm almost just continuing to go with it until it's just dead.
Yep.
The Bengals, though, with that being said, this is really bad analysis, but even when they lost to the Chiefs, it was close, and it was kind of like everyone's like, okay, the Bengals are fine. The Bengals are fine. I was like, I agree, but like they're like a bad vibes team. I don't know what it is. There's just something that feels very off with them. During that game, like the Jamar Chase like meltdown that cost them a penalty, they just kind of felt like they were coming off the tracks a little bit to go back to the train analogy. They're coming off the tracks. Yeah, but I think they're concerning in a different way than we expected. I think if you had told us before the season that the Bengals were 0-3, it was because Joe Burrow wasn't playing well off the wrists or that he was hurt. And that hasn't been the case. It's just been the team around him has not performed up to par, especially the defense, which is one of the worst, if not the worst in the NFL. I do think this is a rebound spot for the Bengals, especially coming off a big Panthers win. By Panthers standards, big Panthers win.
Blowout. One button, dominant.
Yeah. No, for sure. Dominant. I think the Bengals win this, but this is like me giving the Bengals like their last chance. Like this is it.
Yeah.
Now or never. Now or never for the Bengals. I'm gonna say now, But if they don't, it's never.
Because we talked about this stat, and I mean, I've even brought it up myself multiple times, where if you're 0-2, 0-3, you only have like a 10% chance to make the playoffs, blah, 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 whatever this actual stat is. But 0-4 is different than 0-3, and also that 0-2, 0-3 stats inflated because you have teams like the Carolina Panthers who are 0-3 that have 0% chance in actually making the playoffs, but then you have a team like the Baltimore Ravens who are 0-3, and that's not a real, or 0-2. That's not necessarily indicative of who they are.
Carter, you're starting to sound like a data scientist, actually adding context to the stats. You're exactly right. Of course, when a team like the Carolina Panthers starts 0-3, they're not going to make the playoffs. Or I'm not saying that to poke fun at you, but
but that's true.
Patriots. Think Patriots.
Yeah, but speaking of bad teams, the Indianapolis Colts play the Pittsburgh Steelers. Over under the amount of turnovers in this game, Dylan.
Ooh.
I'm going 3.5.
Oddly enough, I think the game plan for both of these teams is just going to be I think they're going to go out of their way to prevent, like, they're not going to have Richardson throw down the field.
Okay.
It's just going to be
Let me rephrase that then. I think that's a great point. Over under 30 pass attempts in this game by both quarterbacks combined.
I like under there. I like under. I like under. I mean, Jonathan Taylor's looked great, and I think Pittsburgh. Najee Harris was questionable. I think he's going to end up playing. I won't spend too much time on this one. Justin Fields will be starting for the Steelers. Steelers are allowing the lowest third down conversion rate on defense, about 22%, and the lowest red zone touchdown rate. With that being said, there's one stat that matters above them all in my eyes, and that is the Action Network luck rankings. And they have Pittsburgh as like the third luckiest team. They have the Colts as the fourth or fifth unluckiest. That's all I need to see. I'm going to go with Colts here.
Okay. All right, then. I don't disagree with that. But we talked about it before we started recording. With the luck rankings, I'm a little nervous that the luck rankings, because they have the Titans and Colts as the unluckiest teams right now, I just think the luck rankings might just be, these teams have a lot of turnovers, and if they didn't turn over the ball, they would win games.
I could give me 1 second. I got to plug my phone in. You guys keep going.
Okay.
But I'll look up what the luck ratings actually entail. I think that's a part of it, but I think like Saquon Barkley dropping the pass against the Falcons, that probably goes to be unlucky for the Eagles and lucky for the Falcons, because obviously Saquon does not drop that pass every time.
All right, Ben.
I think I like Indianapolis here too, just because I'm not sure if I can live in a world where this Pittsburgh Steelers team is 4-0.
If this Pittsburgh Steelers team is 4-0, then we might need to have a real conversation about J.J. Watt in the MVP conversation. I don't think that's a crazy statement.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not. He's dominant. He's the best pass rusher in football. I think I like the Colts because I don't think they're as bad as they've looked, whereas I don't think the Steelers are as good as they have looked. I think things even out. I feel like in the NFL especially, it's kind of everything regresses to the mean one way or another. And I think this is kind of a regress to the mean game where the Colts beat the Steelers and then we find out later, okay, both of these teams were average,
and
like
also,
very mediocre.
With the Steelers too is, yeah, they beat the Falcons. I think that is an impressive win, but beating the Broncos barely, honestly, and then beating who did they play last week? I'm blanking here. Help me out.
Who, the Steelers?
Chargers. They beat the Chargers
yeah.
where Justin Herbert got hurt. That doesn't really impress me that much, but then you're going against Anthony Richardson, who really can't throw the ball and can't read a defense, and he's going against the best defense in football. So I struggle with backing the Colts here. This is the ultimate stay away for me. I don't want to go against the Steelers defense, but I also don't want to back the Steelers offense. I'm going to stay away from this one. Steelers feel honestly too easy in my eyes because I've watched every snap of this Colts team, and it just feels like Anthony Richardson is going to fall for every trap that Mike Tomlin sets for him. So I just want to stay away. I want to stay away from this game. But give me the Steelers to win 15-14.
Ooh, love that. Scoregami game?
Yeah, just
Score-
gross. We're getting a safety in this game.
Oh yeah.
You know how people will do those, like, they'll bet like 8-leg safety parlays?
No, the nose.
Yeah, the nose. This is the one that kills the no.
That doesn't surprise me. That wouldn't surprise me.
Oh my goodness. Rams Bears. This game I was excited. Ugh. Like before the season, you're like, ooh, Rams Bears. That's exciting. You're gonna get two good offenses. That should be fun. Gross game now. This is gross. The Bears are a 2.5-point favorite against McVay and Stafford, Dylan. I know that disgusts you a little bit.
This is I'm dubbing this game as the stoppable force meets movable object game. That's what this is this week. Not unstoppable meets
Trademarked
immovable.
by Dylan.
What'd you say?
What?
What'd you say?
Trademarked by Dylan.
Stoppable force meets movable object. Chicago averaging the league worst yards per play on offense. The Rams allowing the league worst yards per play on defense. So something's got to give here. Stoppable
So
force.
you're saying, okay, so what you're saying is if Caleb Williams stinks in this game, then we label him as a bust.
I would. I'm not going to say it. I'm not
Yeah,
going to
you
say
are.
it.
Yeah, you
But
are.
if you want to say that, I think that is a more than fair consensus to come to. Both bottom three in rush yards per play. This game, let's see what we got, Caleb. This is the defense that has allowed the most yards per play on defense. This will be your time to shine, buddy. Let's see it. No more excuses after this week.
No more excuses, huh, Ben? Any thoughts on this game?
It's tough because I feel like this is a natural. Looking at the line and looking at how last week played out, I think I want to go Bears just from that standpoint. But when I look at the game, I look at both these teams, I'm just like, I've got a coach and a quarterback I trust. I have a quarterback that I don't trust yet and a coach I definitely don't trust. With a bad offensive line. I do think that Rams defensive line is sneaky. I know the stats, it hasn't performed well, but they've got some good young players there that I like Braden Firsk and or Fisk or Firsk, I forgot. The guy from Florida State, the rookie from Florida State, along with Jared Verse. So it's a good defensive line, especially Byron Young as well. I think that is going to be able to take over the Bears offensive line. I think it makes Caleb Williams uncomfortable once again. I think Stafford and McVay are able to cook up a few things at least to score enough points to win this game. I think it's lower scoring, but I like the Rams like maybe 21-17 here.
I think this is.
I don't think it's dramatic, but I like the Rams.
I think this could be a little bit higher scoring in this game. I don't trust this Rams defense, and if we're gonna see it out of Caleb Williams, it's got to be now. Also, DJ Moore anytime touchdown. Just putting that out there.
Oh.
DJ Moore anytime.
The Bears defense hasn't looked that bad though.
No, it hasn't, but I also think McVay and Stafford are just going to have success on every defense. It doesn't matter who's playing wide receiver. You could have Jordan Whittington, who was the fourth wide receiver at Texas last year, and he's going to make plays on this team. So I kind of like the over in that one, but we'll see. Jags Texans. Texans are a 6.5-point favorite. Another kitchen sink game for the Jags. They're 0-3. Disgusting, gross, horrific performance on Monday Night Football against the Bills. Over-under 45.5 in this game. The Texans, though, we did this, Dylan, last week on Sunday night. They are my pump the brakes team, though. I am very nervous about this Texans team because sneaky now all of a sudden that this offensive line isn't a top 10, top 5 offensive line. We're seeing CJ Stroud struggle a little bit.
Yeah. I think my angle here is I'm not going to bet anything. If I were to, it would be the Jags looked awful in prime time, and I'm going to look for every way to fade that, to fade the narrative that, the Jags are awful. So that would lean me taking the Jags. I think what we said about Texas, though, the Houston Texans on Sunday is completely correct, especially if they cannot get the run game going and they become a one-dimensional team. We saw it against the Vikings where, I'm going to say it, CJ Stroud's a good quarterback, in all honesty, but we saw him try to force things that weren't there. And when you can't get the defense to worry about a run attack, it really makes things difficult for a team. So there is a concern there. Like you said, the offensive line, I lean the Jags. I'm going to stay away. But this is kitchen sink game for the Jags.
Are you worried about Trevor Lawrence at all?
My heart of hearts says no, and my heart of hearts says that they will figure it out. I don't have any stats off the top. He doesn't look great, and hasn't won a game since Thanksgiving.
But and also, he's missing throws left and right. It's bad. It's really concerning for me. I'm a little worried about Trevor Lawrence going forward.
I would have to take a deep dive into the stats. I did see him spin move away from nobody on Monday Night Football. That was pretty impressive. Spin moving a ghost. Sam Darnold sees ghosts. Trevor Lawrence spins away from them. I like the Jags here. I'm not going to take it, and I'll get back to you on Trevor Lawrence thing.
Okay. Ben, any thoughts on this game briefly?
I, like Dylan in my heart of hearts, I believe in Trevor Lawrence, but they just need to shake something up. I don't know what exactly the big issue was, because I really liked them going into the year thinking that their fall off at the end of the year was because Trevor Lawrence had 3 injuries over the course of the last 4 weeks. I figured that was the issue, and is
it a Doug Peterson problem?
Boots on the ground. Sources say the offensive coordinator sucks.
Ooh.
Sources. My sources, as in a Jags fan friend.
That's the problem, though. We always like to blame the offensive coordinator. In Carolina, when Joe Brady was there with Matt Rule, I'm like, oh, Joe Brady sucks. Joe Brady's going to be the hottest name this offseason in head coaching jobs. He might be even hotter than Ben Johnson going into this coaching carousel this season. So
he might be.
So that's
but I like the Jags here. Again, I would never bet on this game, but I like the Jags against the number. I think they could win. Because I do think this is a kitchen sink game. They desperately need to win this game. I kind of thought like the Bengals, I liked the Bengals and the Jaguars on Monday night because I thought both teams, I was like, okay, they start 0-2. Both aren't that bad. They'll win a game here. They didn't. I'm doubling down on thinking they are both going to win this week, but this is the last week that I'm doing that with the Bengals, with the Jags. So I'm going to go Jags.
I will say this: I would hit the panic button on the Texans if they lose this game. What I have seen from this team has been really concerning. I feel like people are just looking at the final score and saying, "Oh, the Texans, they're good, 2-1, nice." But when you really watch the Texans game, I've watched every snap of Texans football this season. Somehow, some way, it's really, really concerning what I've seen. It's not last year. It's really different than last season. It's not the same. Things are getting figured out, and the offensive line is getting bullied. Dylan, you mentioned it, the run game. If the run game isn't there, C.J. Stroud becomes one-dimensional. And it's not C.J. Stroud's fault. I think C.J. Stroud's a phenomenal quarterback. But it's just how that goes when you don't have a run game. And I'm worried about this Texans team. I don't think enough people are talking about it.
How many weeks until we start hearing Stephon Diggs complain?
Ooh, excellent question. Give me week 6.
Did you see Josh Allen's comment about how it's nice to not have anybody complaining about their contribution to the team, and it's all one and everybody's trying to win?
Yeah, we talked about that as a talking point going into the season for the Bills. It's kind of been real that, oh, wow, addition by subtraction because, it's a less talented wide receiver room with Shakir, Matt Collins, Keon Coleman. But I'll tell you what, you know who's happier? The quarterback and the best player on that team and potentially one of the best players in the NFL.
Taking care of the ball so far this year, too. That's keeping those turnovers to a minimum.
He's got to be the favorite for MVP right now, right?
He's got to be. I was going to say the same thing.
It was
He's
him
been fantastic.
And at least in the middle of Monday Night Football, it was him and someone else tied at the top, and I can't remember who it was.
Mahomes?
I think it was Mahomes. I remember seeing red.
Mahomes. Let's talk about that Sunday night game real quick. I know we should have probably closed with it or started with it, but Sunday night, Bills-Ravens. Ravens are 2.5-point favorite against this 3-0 Bills team. Does that line give you any concern, Dylan?
So on the recap show, I said the Ravens were my panic button team, and this is perfect time. If you want to throw the link into that recap right up here, watch it. You can see what I said. But I do have concerns about this Ravens team, even though they ended up winning the game against the Cowboys. We've seen time and time again that the Ravens have let teams back into games late, and I'm flip-flopping here. I think this is the perfect time to buy on the Ravens team, playing a Bills team that just blew out the Jaguars on national television. We see that the Buffalo Bills offensive line is the 7th worst rated running block offensive line, and this Ravens rush defense has looked good. It's probably their best defensive unit. I think that it's a great time to buy on the Ravens with the rest advantage against a good Bills team. I love the Ravens here. I think they win this game. It's 2.5-point favorite. I love it. I think the Ravens take care of business here. But this will not end up being an indictment on the Bills. I think this is just the Ravens are kind of being slept on right now, and the Bills are going to be – everybody's going to herald them as the best team in football after that blowout, and I think this is just a little bit of evening that scale back out.
The worst thing the Ravens can do in this game is get out to a big lead early.
Yeah.
Because
I just don't see how the Bills are going to be able to run the ball either. Like I said, with the rush blocking unit, and the Ravens are allowing a league-leading 2.8 rush yards per attempt. I think it's a lot of things work for the Ravens here.
Over the past few years when these teams have played, these games get ugly.
Yeah.
These games are low scoring. These are 16-13 type games. And when it's that low scoring and it's in that spot, give me the Ravens.
Yeah.
Give me the Ravens. I think the Ravens barely get it done. I think it's a close game. I think we have a really fun Big Ten football game in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going Ravens in this spot. Ben.
I'm going with the Ravens as well. This feels like two teams that are both like the Ravens. I feel like have definitely underachieved this year. They're 1-2. The Bills are 3-0, feeling good. I feel like this is kind of a maybe come back to reality game for the Bills. I still think they're a top 2 team in the NFL right now. But just dealing with Lamar is it's just such a big task, especially after a big win on Monday night. Mm-hmm. This feels like where we feel like, okay, the Ravens are, maybe not Super Bowl contenders again, but they're like back to playoff team caliber. Whereas with the Bills, we end up having them drop one here. I think I like the Ravens too. I wouldn't be shocked if the Bills win because they're really, really good, but I like the Ravens.
Broncos, Jets. Jets are a 7.5-point favorite against Bo Nix, and the Broncos game is at MetLife. Ladies and gentlemen, give me the Jets in this spot. This Jets defense is going to swarm Bo Nix. Bo Nix looked good against I'd say average Buccaneers defense. Bo Nix looked okay last week against the Bucs. The Jets defense is going to dominate in this game. This is going to be a low-scoring affair, and I think we have real questions about Bo Nix after this game. Give me the Jets in this spot. I think the Jets win by double digits.
I'm surprised. I was not expecting a strong opinion on this game. I'm going under. Both these defenses are allowing less than 5 yards per play. Both top 3 in red zone touchdown rate allowed in terms of the lowest. One talking point I wanted to bring up. Two quarterbacks in the NFL right now. No turnover-worthy plays. Who are they?
Aaron Rodgers and not Will Levis.
Not Will Levis. He leads the league. Think was not going to be the starter this year.
It wasn't Andy Dalton?
Nope.
Malik Willis?
Nope.
Think.
Sam Darnold?
Yeah,
nope.
Sam Darnold. Oh, Sam Darnold's not it?
3. 2.
Justin Fields?
Justin Fields is the other quarterback in the NFL with no turnover-worthy plays. Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields. That's the classic.
So they teach good football at Ohio State.
Aaron Rodgers went to Cal.
Yeah, but where did Justin Fields go?
Georgia.
That was good.
Yeah, what are you talking about? That was a classic example of you throw Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields up on a graphic.
Hey, where did Justin Fields play college football?
Georgia.
Did he?
Yeah. Well, am I missing something? This is the classic graphic. You throw up Aaron Rodgers.
People are going to listen to this and be like, this idiot.
Can I speak?
Yeah, talk about the graphs.
No, I'm talking. This is the graphic. You throw up Aaron Rodgers, you throw up Justin Fields, and I
don't know about the Panthers this week, guys.
What? What do these two quarterbacks have in common? No one would ever guess no turnover-worthy plays. Just saying. Anyway, give me the under. I'm done talking about this. Go, Ben.
Give me the under too. I like it. It's going to be like 24-3 in this game, Ben.
Yeah, I love the under, and I like the Jets here, like 24-10. I feel like the Jets' defense is especially built to feast on bad offenses. I feel like when they face a good offense, like a more healthy 49ers team in week 1, it was a struggle for them. But I think this is the kind of situation in which they thrived. I say they give up like 10 points. I think Aaron Rodgers in this Jets offense has been humming so far this year, but I feel like they're kind of playing, and they've almost admitted it's like, get a 2-score lead, right? That was the whole Rodgers Saleh thing. Get a 2-score lead. And then at that point, they can kind of, excuse me, like manage the game, control time of possession, and just close it out from there. So this feels like a game where the Jets get up early, get a 2-score lead early. The Jets defense is humming against a very suspect rookie quarterback, and they win the game like 24-10.
This is the Scott Hansen game of the week. This is the opposite of the Knapp game. Commanders Cardinals. Just two terrible defenses and two exciting offenses. The total in this game's 50.5. I think the Cardinals are favored by 3 right here. I don't care about either side in this game. If you have a fantasy player in this game, you're pumped. That's about the analysis you have going into this one. There's going to be a lot of points. Over's pretty high. Either way, I still think it's going to be played into the high 40s, or even this game could be played into the 60s. I wouldn't be surprised, to be honest. This game is just going to be nonstop. Scott Hansen, because you look at the other games in this 4 o'clock slate, and shout out the NFL for at least giving us 4 games in the 4 o'clock slate. Thank goodness. Never do 3, always do 4. But man, I'll tell you what, they gave us 3 really crappy games and really 3 potentially really boring games in this 4 o'clock slate. The Knapp game's going to be tough for you to pick, Dylan, this week, because we've got Pats Niners. The Niners are a 10-point favorite. The total's under 40. Browns Raiders, yuck. The total's under 40. And Chiefs Chargers, without Justin Herbert probably, the total's under 40, and the Chiefs are almost a 10-point favorite in this game. This is the 4 o'clock game of the week. Send Tom Brady and Jim Nantz or whoever to this game.
Where are they? Do you know where they're going? Are they going to New England, San Francisco?
I think Nantz is going to Chargers Chiefs.
Okay. All right. As far as this game goes, we saw from Washington that offense can be electric, especially when they face a bad defense, and we know the Cardinals do not have a good defense. I hate to say it, but this is a points game. I'm not going to take the over, but I think you're exactly right. This is if you wanted points, if you wanted a game to watch, this is probably the game.
Yeah, I don't like taking overs in the NFL that are 50 plus, though.
Really? It sounds like a personal challenge to you.
No, it used to be. Then I realized how stupid that is, taking Ole Miss. Ole Miss, Alabama really, really did something to me 2 years ago.
I remember where I was.
Yeah,
I remember where I was.
I think we took it was over 83.5.
I don't remember, but it was.
I think the total was in the 80s, and the final score at the end of the first quarter was 7-0. And that
a lot of ground to catch up.
I will never forget that loss for the rest of my life. Never forget that one.
Tough.
But Ben, quickly, Commanders Cardinals. This is a points game, right?
It is a points game. I don't feel very strongly about who wins this game, but I feel strongly that the score will be 38-35.
Yeah, there we go.
Nice.
I'm leaning Arizona, but if it was the Commanders that won 38-35, that wouldn't shock me too. But I'm gonna go Arizona. I know it's -3. I don't love betting the spread there. So I'll just say it's an over. It's an over game, and Arizona wins by 3.
It does feel like one of those games. Whoever has the ball last is going to win that football game. Patriots Niners. Dylan, are we talking Knapp game of the week here? Or we moving on to a different game for Knapp game of the week?
I think we got to go a different game for Knapp game of the week. But for this game, the Patriots players are getting paid too, boys. Like 10.5 points. Are we being serious right now? Give me the Patriots. I don't care.
Ooh, I don't know. I also feel like this Patriots defense is really bad, actually, and we're not. I think Aaron Rodgers and that Jets team diced them up, and then it was okay. We can just run out the clock and not get injured. I think if the Jets wanted to run up that score, they could have.
I think they could have too. I think that's fair.
Doesn't this feel like a big time get right game for the 49ers?
I don't know. I don't know if with the injuries they can. I don't know if they can get right quite yet.
That's fair. That's absolutely fair. Yeah, I don't have much thoughts on this game. I would lean, honestly, towards Niners by 10 because we've seen – but because I'm doing the reverse fade here where 6-point underdogs are like 14-2 against the spread this season. It's insane, and I think 9 of them have won straight up. So I would do a little bit of the reverse here. I actually think the Niners can cover a big number here, but I'm going to stay away. This is if you have something to do in this 4 o'clock slate, like, oh, I need to get some chores done, or your significant other's like, I need to get out of the house, go for a walk. You don't be upset missing a half of football here. I know we talk about that in the summer where it's, oh, you can't miss a snap of football. If you're going to miss one, it'd be during this slate if you had to.
Yeah.
But Ben.
I agree. I wouldn't want to bet on this game either. I think the Niners are controlling it for a majority of the time. I'm going to say the Niners are winning by a super specific prediction. I'm going to say that the Niners are winning by 14 and Drake May backdoor covers.
Ooh, I'm in on that. I'm in.
Oh. That's the vibe I get. So I'd be staying away, but I think in theory the Niners basically cover the spread, but then right at the end the Patriots just backdoor cover.
I don't think
there was never. It was like it was a one possession game, but it like never was really a one possession game. Like those kind of vibes, 24-17-ish.
I don't think we're going to be able to see Jacoby Brissett get through this entire game. That Patriots offensive line is so pitiful. He's a practice dummy for defenses right now, because that Jets game, you're like, oh my gosh, man. Like, you just fear for his life in that spot. Going against Bosa and this Niners defense, woof. We might be seeing the Frank Reich video. Woof. I need to put that. On the graph. People are gonna be like, "What are you mentioning?" I need to put it in the episode.
Woo!
Oh, Frank Reich. Browns Raiders.
Can we do Seahawks Lions before I have to go?
We're gonna do that Sunday night on the recap. We're gonna
okay.
Yeah, we'll wrap up here.
All right,
Browns Raiders really quick.
Nap game. It's really tough to make a conclusion from this game because the Raiders, have they even announced what they're doing at quarterback yet? I know. Pierce has said that they're not ruling out starting O'Connell. So it's like, well, what do you even have to say about this game when you don't know who the quarterback's going to be?
The leading rusher between these two teams is Jerome Ford with 140 rush yards.
That's what everybody expected, right? Nap game. I'm going to be sleeping. I'm going to be snoozing.
Yeah, this is gross. I think Browns win, but I don't like it. Ben.
Gross. Browns win. Very ugly by like a point.
There is no way this is a normal football score. That is my personal
just thinking
guarantee
score
of this week.
game.
We are talking 22-23. Just the dumbest score. Or like 18-19 somehow. Just the dumbest score possible.
I was going to say 18-19. I'll say 19-18 Browns.
Something gross right there. Chiefs-Chargers, we'll wrap up here with this game. Chiefs are 8.5-point favorite. Looks like Justin Herbert's not going to be playing in this one. I wouldn't discount the Chargers here because this is a spot where I think Harbaugh likes to be an 8.5-point dog in this spot. We've seen the Chiefs let up against teams like the Broncos, divisional opponents, where they're playing Easton Stick for all we know. When they're playing these backup quarterbacks, we've seen the Chiefs just kind of lollygag in these games. I'm not going to take anything, but I would lean Chargers here, actually. I think Harbaugh's got something to prove in this one.
What is Harbaugh going to ask whoever plays quarterback to do?
To hand the football off.
I literally think that J.K. Dobbins and the defense is enough to keep them competitive in this game. Maybe not win, but at least keep this within a score.
You don't think Taylor Heineke has a little magic in him?
We've seen it before, but I don't know.
If I would,
that would be maybe let's see if we have the magic if we're down 3 scores at half instead of starting the game by trying to get him to show the magic. And I think, we can. It's easy to forget Jim Harbaugh and Jesse Minter have played run first defense type of football before. If anybody knows how to do it, it's them. And I trust the Chargers to keep it close. What do we say? Kansas City Chiefs is more than a field goal favorite. Fade.
Yep. Did you want to talk about the Lions real quick, or do we want to wrap up with the parlay?
We can do it Sunday.
We can do it Sunday? Okay. All right. Well, stay tuned for that. Yeah, we can talk now, finally. We'll talk lines on Sunday. We'll talk about both Monday Night Football games on the Sunday night recap show. Subscribe to the podcast. Make sure to tune in for that. We're going to do a parlay, and then we'll get out of here. Connor's pick, Jags +7.
I love that.
Jags +7. Dylan, what's your pick?
Can I do Monday Night Football for the parlay?
I'll allow it.
Sorry, Ben. Seahawks.
Plus
4.5.
I'm seeing 3.5. Right
3.5 is good.
Okay. All right. Ben, what's your pick?
I'm going to go with, I really like two of them. I'm going to go over 50.5 Cardinals Commanders. That's more fun than another under like I did last week.
I am going under this week.
Okay.
Broncos Jets.
I love that.
That's the one I also thought of, so it works out.
We're going Broncos Jets, so that's the parlay this week. Make sure to subscribe to the show at KarterKast on everything, at Wilkersonand Dylan, at BD Hammond 28, at Karter BA, at KarterKast on everything. Hit that subscribe button. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I know you are. I know you're watching on YouTube. Just scroll your little cursor down, use your little Roku remote, boom, 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 hit that subscribe button. And if you're like, I think I'm subscribed, but I don't know, go check again. And go tell people to subscribe as well. Download SeatGeek app. Use code KarterKast, $20 off your first purchase. Make sure to tune in. Sunday night recap show. And we've got some fun stuff planned. We got Dylan, potentially some baseball stuff planned in the future on the YouTube channel. Ben, college basketball season's around the corner right now.
It is. And if there's some baseball stuff around the corner, Dylan, I might need to be hopping on to talk about Tigers World Series baseball.
I was a believer in the Tigers. No one wanted to believe in the Tigers.
They are the hottest team in baseball right now.
Stipulation: I get to be in on one Mets segment. That's it, and then I don't want to be on the rest of the show.
There we go. We'll get you in for the Mets.
The Mets, yeah. So anyhow, stay tuned for that. We have some announcements coming. Can't wait, and we'll see y'all next time. Bye.